This week on the Unamplified Podcast.
Hello, Africa. Welcome to another episode of the Unamplified Podcast. I'm Cynthia, your host, and I'm here with an amazing team of co-hosts.
I am Queen CY, the one that comes with the vibes as always. You are on the Unamplified Podcast.
Oh yes, everyone, and I'm Chi, and I'm the cool one. Welcome to today's episode of the Unamplified Podcast.
Well, yeah, they say I bring the energy, and you know how we do it, ladies. When you're on,
You're amplified.
To that.
Cheers.
Wow, so, I feel like we have a lot of shows now. I mean, for those of us who download things online, but we have those on Netflix and Prime, even DSTV, several other platforms people watch. What are you guys watching? Or what have you been the past month?
Well, I've been watching lots of reality TV shows and docu-series, like the Young, Famous and African, and also the Queen Cleopatra. I don't know the story.
This one, Pan-African, no? Young. What's the show again? I've seen that show, but
Young, Famous and African.
Young, Famous and African.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Reality show.
It's a
It's a reality show. You don't like what are you watching?
I don't watch reality shows.
I know now. What are you watching?
It's very interesting actually.
What's the
Anyways, it's just about young, rich African celebrities in different African countries, most especially South Africa. We have the East Africa, we have in Nigeria also. They just come together and they just show their lifestyle, what they do on a daily basis, the places they go to, what they do, the designers,
This is what I hate about
that.
reality.
You know,
Why
it's
are you just following people around.
no, it just gives you this sense of
like
see, it's not fake because that's a lie. That's
Like the
celebrity
Kardashian
life.
show too.
No,
Was it not fake?
No, the Kardashian show is not fake.
It's what?
It's
People
actually
just
what they
put
do.
cameras in their house.
No, it's actually what they
Wait,
do.
so
There's
what's-
always camera with
Why
them.
you?
That's what they
Is she
signed
the
up for.
producer?
No,
She just said she's watching it. Why are you? This girl, we're bringing violence on this show.
Well, serious, no,
But-
they're
but
actually the only
I
thing
think
about
I want to
it.
watch it actually because what you're saying, it's for me. You know me, I'm Pan-African. If you say African, it would be nice to see that we actually have these famous rich Africans and they are showing us there. Because most times those reality shows are more, foreign. Like if it's Hollywood produced in a sense, or the Western, or Europe. So I think it's nice to see that we have Africa also showing that, most times you see all this documentary about Africa, it shows as if all of us here are hungry, all of us here are begging for food, like we don't have, but we have glamour, we have rich people. Even in Lagos alone, if you see glamour, your eyes would open.
Our designers are doing great, but we don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because in that show, you get to see like classy designer wears made by our designers, African designers, and they are so rich and so beautiful.
Who are the Nigerian celebrities on the show?
Okay, we have Swanky Jeremiah. That's his other name. Swanky Jerry.
He's Nigerian.
He's Nigerian.
What does he do?
He's a designer and a stylist.
Okay.
Okay.
He's
I
a
thought
stylist.
he's
He's a
maybe a
famous
singer.
stylist. Yes, he's a celebrity
You need to get
stylist.
into
but
fashion,
I'm
young
saying.
woman.
We also have Annie Dibia
Okay.
in the show. That's
Anyway.
Two-Face Idibia's wife, and
I
also
bet just
Two-Face.
call her Annie Dibia. Must you say Two-Face Dibia's wife?
Annie is Annie.
Annie's Annie.
Annie.
We know Annie.
You know Annie.
We know Annie.
Okay.
With or without,
And also
we know her.
Two-Face Idibia was
Oh,
also
to Baba.
he was also in the show, and the rest we have Fantana from Ghana, we have Zari from I think Namibia,
Okay.
and we have
That's the one that has diamond platinum.
yes, Diamond Platinums,
Tanzania.
I think Baby Mama.
So
She's also there.
what are you watching? Because
Me?
you say you don't watch reality TV. What do you want to watch?
As much as I don't like reality TV because they seem overly joyful and fake, I also don't like sad movies. So I recently started watching From Scratch. It's a Netflix series, a mini
Yeah, I
series.
saw this thing then.
It started as a love story, which is what I always like.
Oh.
And then halfway into it, somebody's about to die. It became a sad story.
Wait,
So
is it like the
they-
protagonist is about to die or
Yes.
I don't
Yeah, the
understand.
main people. So it's a love story. This lady, Zoe Saldana.
Oh my god, I love that girl.
Yeah, Zoe is awesome. Yeah. So Zoe's husband, of course, the story is about two of them, an Italian guy. So both of them came to Los Angeles to come and live. And I also love the multicultural aspect of the movie.
Wow.
And Zoe is so interesting. She speaks English, Spanish, Italian, and French.
I think that's the reason I loved her.
In the
So
movie.
in the movie, it's mostly English and Italian. But I knew that this Italian is not just, she's not just reading
Not
it.
surface Italian.
It's not surface Italian. So I now read about her. I realized she speaks those 4 or 5 languages. She's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a love story about how both of them came from Italy. And they're now living in LA. And then the guy got cancer.
Oh,
Now he's about to die.
guys, cancer is such a bitch.
It's like, I don't think I want
Okay.
to watch that movie.
I
don't
because
think so.
I love rom-com, honestly. I like love stories.
Yeah.
I like love plenty. So, but when I heard that the story will not go the way I planned, I told myself I'm not going to watch it.
Cool.
But me, anyways, I mean, I saw The Diplomat. Diplomat is interesting.
Oh, I've watched The Diplomat.
Yes,
Actually
you know, I
love
like
the
these
movie.
those things to be thinking the way these politicians think.
It's in
You have to
my
be thinking
list.
fast. I liked it. I like The Night Agent. Sometimes I like a bit of action.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love The Night Agent.
But recently, I watched one movie called It's My Fault. My Nigerian movie. I watched Sisters. Sister.
I've been seeing the reviews
It's
on
nice,
social media.
because I love
don't know.
Biodun Steven. Please, you guys, one of our episodes, we have to talk about women doing great things in any industry
Yep.
or in the continent. And please, we have to talk about Biodun Steven, because I've watched a lot of her movies, and I think she tells really good stories, and she can push the emotions. And please, I'm not promoting Sister or Sister. I think it's everybody Sister, because
Spelling is
Sista. Let's call it Sister. I'm not promoting it, but I feel people should watch it. We have to talk about Biodun Steven, but yeah.
Is it a sad movie?
It's a mix. What I learned from the month, I think, is the power of a dedicated, strong woman. Because there's the story of motherhood and what women can do for their kids, regardless of the heartbreak they would experience. I think that stood out. But also there was a story of forgiveness. There was tolerance. Because I also feel like, I don't want to give you the bits of it. I want you to go and watch it. But when you watch it, we'll talk about
like
it.
they're sad. They're leaning towards sad.
It's sad,
ending.
happy. It's just, it's emotional. I cried at some point, so you know me, I can cry. It touched me at some
But
point.
how do people cry for movies?
How do people cry? My dear, I listen to songs, I cry. I read movies, I read books, I cry.
Actually,
emotional.
I cry more for songs and books than for movies.
If it's emotional,
I don't know.
I
Am I
cry.
normal?
But
Am I normal? Like,
no, that's who you
Cell
are.
number 7.
I did.
You did not cry.
did not cry.
This one needs to go to.
Hard,
Where are we going to take it?
Anyways, but I think for me, why we talk about movies? Because I feel like everything we watch. Because when I tell people that for me, politics, democracy is life. Everything we watch, there are lessons we can pick from there. When I talk about from scratch, talk about the importance of multicultural living, because he said 2 cultures. So they had she was American.
She was American.
He was Italian, and then they moved to
LA,
Los Angeles, right? And then the story of love also. You talked about Africa. You talked about the power of African designers and how we have a lot of creativity going on in that industry. But that the show has Africans from different parts of Africa. So it wasn't overly Nigerian or. So for me, I see that spirit of solidarity and promoting what is ours.
Yes.
And then if I'm thinking around Sister that I watched, I think for me, for Sister, what I saw is power of forgiveness. I saw tolerance. I also saw promoting the power of women. And you know me now. Anything that showcases the power of women, either from the sister herself, or from even the wife of the guy that created the mess. Because I felt like she was quite tolerant. Like I said, until you watch it, maybe next time we won't talk about Biodun Steven, we can talk about
so
that
Biodun
story.
Is like
She's the director
Executive producer.
and producer, I think. But me, I just call it a Biodun Steven movie. That's how I call it. Nigeria, yes, they do so good. Yeah,
Especially
me too.
in Nigerian
That's what I'm
movie
saying.
industry,
We
they
need
are
an
really,
episode that
really-
talks a lot about how our industries are really growing and projecting us to the world, but also how the stories are becoming important, but how women are also showcasing that we were talented, we're creative, we're creatives, and we actually are influencing just how people think and talk. And so, because last episode we're talking elections, and for me, elections are always important. And I'm just thinking, we're talking about things trending on social media. It's consistent. What's one thing that is paining me is, please, why are people fighting over political parties? I don't understand. I beg, why?
People that after the elections, they'll go drink together and party together.
No, that's what, but the politicians, that's true now.
That's the truth. I don't know why people keep fighting over political parties or over their candidates, because it's not making sense. Support who you want to support and move on.
No, I don't think it's possible to move on. The people you support, if you are in my circle, the people you support.
I beg, what's your circle?
My circle, I mean, like my friends. If you are in my friend group, the people you support translates to how I relate with you after the election.
Are you among those who ended friendships and relationships?
Yes.
No, I actually did end some friendship.
You
but,
ended?
But I did not really put it like, I don't hold the grudge towards those
but
people.
You put them at like
just yes, as arm's length. Just say day or day.
Yeah. No, that's also the same thing I do.
Or you
like,
not see me fighting with them or exchanging words on social media.
I get it. Who you support, you support. But there was something you said though, that after these politicians to go and drink and sit on their own. And if we're talking about the things we learn from movies, if we're learning things like tolerance, why can't we tolerate each other, please? There is nothing wrong. So the beauty of democracy, see, democracy for me is like a garden with so many flowers, and we need every flower to blossom, right?
Yeah.
Even if the weeds are there, we can pull out the weeds, but that's what makes a garden beautiful. If you have several flowers, it's beautiful. And I think that's what makes democracy beautiful, that you have diverse opinions, diverse political parties that we support, but that at the end, your opinion should not be more important than my opinion.
Yeah.
Your opinion is your opinion. My opinion is my opinion. That's tolerance now.
It's useless opinions.
There's some people.
Why do you think it's useless?
There's some people. If you ask them why did you do this,
well,
their own, maybe what they'll tell you why they, maybe their own idea of why they did it is very, very annoying. You might even want to slap them.
There are so many issues that cropped up from the election. The issue of tribalism, religious fanaticism. So these things are people's opinion. Your opinion on how religion is affecting the campaigns and all those things, or how your tribe somehow prevents you from being an able candidate or from having any sense at all. So when you have that kind of opinion, it's a useless opinion.
But let's not say, maybe we say it's an ill-informed opinion. You know me, I don't like to cause people a useless opinion. Okay, but see, if we talk about the idea of multicultural living, if love is transcending ethnic identities, religious and cultural identities, why shouldn't we also look at that in our sense? Because Nigeria is a multi-ethnic, religious, diverse country. A lot of African countries are multi-ethnic and also have some level of diversity religious wise, but diversity of identities, right? So
I recognize our identity, and I think that the fact that people were able or even taught to use it as a yardstick to discredit other people during the election is a major problem.
It's just hypocrisy, because most people who attack other people because of religious reasons are actually, if you check it, most of them are married. Maybe Yoruba, you're married to an Igbo person.
That one day.
And you are still trying to use religions as part of.
Is it not disrespectful?
Your own
to your spouse.
A yardstick to discredit the political system or the other political party or the other tribe. But it's just hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy. Well, true. But you said something actually, but I think what is important, and this is how we need to start thinking as younger Africans, that one, when it comes to elections, ethnic and religious identity or other forms of, I'll just use more of ethnic because I think that that's more of the trending trends, and even political party identity. I feel like we should acknowledge our identities,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
But we should not use that as the basis of determining the quality of candidates,
exactly,
or the quality of those contesting for office. So yes, we understand there is nothing wrong with our identities. Honestly, I am Igbo, but I don't want to talk about that. I always tell people I'm Nigerian, but I also have my own identities, because the truth is I'm Igbo too. I'm Igbo, I'm Nigerian, I'm Christian, I'm a young woman, or I'm a woman, because
light skinned.
I don't call this light skin.
No, shade of color.
I have an afro. I'm Pan-African. These are several identities, right? Yes. We all have different identities, and there's nothing wrong in acknowledging our identities. But what I think is, while we acknowledge the identities, let's not use that as a basis to judge quality or content of character or even competency. Because leadership, when leadership works, we all benefit regardless of identities. When leadership fails, we all suffer regardless of identities, right? So let's talk a bit, but there's one other part around it for me that I do have, because when we say identity shouldn't matter, but you hear people talking things like Muslim tickets.
That was trending throughout last week.
I think that it should matter. I think identity should matter.
To what extent?
To the extent where it's just like when we talk about human rights, where your rights end is where another person's own begins, right? So as much as we are all trying to just like you said, as much we should identify that we are all different, identify our individual identities, but then not use this as a basis to determine the quality of candidacy and all that. So I think that as a multicultural society, a society with 2 or maybe 3 major religions, I don't think it makes sense for a political party to field candidates of the same religion. I don't think it makes sense. I think that as much as we are not trying to use religion to qualify candidates, I think it's also necessary to understand that there needs to be representation. You can't just field a Muslim. I don't think Muslim ticket makes sense. We have, I don't know the percentage, but I think we have probably equal percentage of Christians and Muslims in Nigeria. Possible. So if we are advocating for women representation or persons with disability representation, that's also the same way. You can't just use the same people from the same religion as your main candidates and device. There should be representation.
So you're talking about other kinds of representation too, and I mean representation is key, because democracy is about representation too.
Yes.
What's your thoughts around this?
Just like what she just said, like representation matters in democracy, and especially in this our election where there's controversy around the Muslim tickets. I feel there's need for political parties to produce candidates who are of different religion, different ethnicity, so everybody just like connects. So feeling that sense of togetherness. So yes.
For me, while I would say we acknowledge our identities, and when it comes to determining who leads us, we shouldn't base it on just where you come from or what faith you profess to. I also get the point you're making, because it's a multi-ethnic, and we have 2 dominant religions in a way, Christian and Muslims. But I also think it's also about, one, the people talking about it. I do believe that our leaders have an important role to play, trying to create balance and create that sense of inclusion. There's one of my favorite quotes from, I think it was just one justice in Supreme Court of the US, Sotomayor. He said, let the rule of the majority not become the oppression of the minority, or that my majority rule should not become the oppression of the minority. And so for me, when it comes to representation, a country like Nigeria, where this matters, because some countries, I was in Sierra Leone, and I found out that the Muslim population was over about 70-something%.
Really?
I was shook to my bones, because I'm like, I didn't know that. Yes,
I don't know what I was thinking.
I thought it was exactly. But you see, religion was not a major thing. They have their own kind of ethnic identity crisis issues, right? Yeah. But religion, so there are some countries where religion is not a thing. Yeah. But Nigeria, apparently, it is becoming a thing. But we also know that at the national level, I think it's important that is considered in fielding candidates, because it just creates that sense of inclusion. It creates that sense of recognition of the diversity of our country. So that regional religious balance, I believe, is important. And because if we talk about capacity, competency, content of character, we have people with these qualities across different divides. I think it's important to bridge that gap and ensure we're together. But at state levels, it could differ because some states you have more ethnic issues than religious. For some states, religion is not the issue, it's about ethnic balance. Some states, religion is also important. And I think even at state levels too, subnational level for Nigerian context, that those kinds of identities for our political class when they make decisions, that they consider that. But for leaders too, when they talk, I believe that leaders should stop. I think that our leaders hit up the system too much.
I think that our main problem when it comes to this religions and ethnicity problems, because recently we just had a former governor talking on on some issues, and he brought up this religious topic, and it wasn't funny what he was saying. Everything he was bringing out from his mouth was just not acceptable.
These leaders recognize that this thing is a problem, so they fan the embers just so that they will trigger it. They need supporters. So the more they realize that these supporters, these are the things they want to hear, they keep saying it. And these are people with platforms. You shouldn't use your platform to encourage such biases or to encourage such religious and cultural divides. So when they say that, it's quite disappointing because they should know better. I mean, if the state or the country is at war, how does it benefit you? If your people are at war with each other, then who are you governing? Who are you leading? So I think they owe it to us to bring the country or the society together instead of creating the divide itself. So when I listened to the video you just talked about right now, I was really disappointed because as a Christian woman, how would that make me feel, seeing that you are talking about how you and your religion is going to take over for the next 20 years or not? It's not nice. It's not right. Everybody wants to feel represented. Everybody wants to feel included. So if you keep saying that you people have the monopoly of such leadership, it's discouraging for me. Okay, what if I want to run for office in...
You should run for office, my
2027.
You should run for office. You know me, I'm
2027.
No, but yeah, 2027. But I totally agree with you, especially from our leaders. But you all made very important points. See, I think our leaders like us divided. Because think about NSAS. One of the reasons NSAS made the kind of noise it's made was because young people in these major cities, regardless of our identities, we came together, voices together, and stood together. And one of the biggest fear political leaders have is a united people.
True.
Because when we are united by our common sufferings, we won't take their pardon my friend, we won't take their bullshit, man.
Yes.
Because if we unite across our several identities and we say that our common suffering, everybody suffers this, it bites us. There's no region that is not feeling one level of suffering or the other, or no religion.
Yes.
And I feel like political leaders within the continent especially, one of their biggest fears is a united people. And so we need to look beyond their statements and what they say and focus on the issues. But for the leaders, honestly, you need to question our leader. You said they are part of our problem.
They're part of our problem because if you look at it,
they need to
during the
right.
NSAS, as you just mentioned, when the bullets were piercing people's hearts, it wasn't about religion. We were together. When ASU went on strike for almost a year, there was no religion or ethnicity there. It affected everybody. And whenever it's time for elections, they come with the religious card. And Nigerians, we need to just wake up and see that these people are using us to play. They're just toiling with our emotions. They know what they are doing. So it's high time we just fashion their talks and deal with our own problems.
I think that's where awareness comes in. I think that's when even the informed Nigerians, that's when they need to also speak to the ones who are quote-unquote uninformed, because there are people who let these leaders influence their thoughts. There are people who let these leaders influence their opinions. So I think if I can group myself among the informed Nigerians, we should do better with creating awareness and letting these other citizens know that it doesn't matter what these people are saying. In the end, they will be there, they will govern you, and whatever policies they make will affect you. the hike in fuel prices, the high standard of living, all these things it does. Before you board any bus or anything, they will not ask you what's your religion or what's your tribe and give you a discount. So it affects all of us. And if I may say, the best strides we've made in the past few years, probably since the NSAS, came as a result of us, probably young people or everyone in general, banding together. From the NSAS, they had a problem with the NSAS being faceless, like there's no leader, everybody's just speaking with one voice. If I can also use the Hilda's own success, we started last episode with talking about how everybody came together to support her. Nobody cares what religion, nobody even cares who Hilda supported during the elections. Everybody just saw that this is a Nigerian person. She's a young girl who is bound to make this name for herself and for us in general. Because if she's doing well, it's painting the whole country, it's painting all of us in a good positive light.
Doing football.
Yes.
World Cup. I mean, I don't really watch football, but I know during World Cup I watch Nigerian match because when Nigeria is because when we score goal, we all celebrate goal. We're not saying who scored the goal. When we lose out, we all feel the pain like Nigeria is out. So even during Olympics, you know, if Nigeria is not there, you support the next African country. Thank you. I like I'm telling you, past World Cup, Nigeria was not there. We're supporting Ghana. We're just narrowing it down. And that's what makes it important that during all these sports, I know even the Olympics, if Nigeria is out, we support the next African. Yes. If Nigeria is there, we have to shall fight each other. I will support our own. But that's for me is that sense of unity to push for, because when we have a win, we all celebrate that win. And I think that's one of the things we need to, when talking about movement, even they're not too young to run, the reason young people could push for the amendment of a constitution was because young Nigerians across the country, across political lines, religious and ethnic lines, spoke with one voice. And that was what achieved the amendment of the constitution to reduce the age. But we talked about we were saying all of these things, people are talking about religion or not. But there was an inauguration, and some of us are still, some people say they are in court waiting to reclaim their mandate. I will not talk about that. But how will I put it? Fuel subsidy was removed, right? Yes. Me, I knew that fuel subsidy had to be removed, even though I know that price will go this high. It's a painful. But what are we expecting? What do we want from the new government? I'm not saying president too. I'm saying government, because we have new governors. We had governors that were inaugurated into office. They've commenced work. We have National Assembly, State Assembly. So government in general.
So I'm hoping that, because it's hope.
You're hoping.
I'm using hope.
Say demand. Say demand. As a people, I demand. We are demanding. Okay. But I like the hope. I hope it's good too.
Hope. I hope they include young people to have a representation, like young people's representation in their government and also in decision making. They should include them and also allow them to express themselves and implement whatever the young ones have asked them to do, so that these young ones will have hope that our voice are being heard.
So I see your points. For me, I demand responsive leadership.
Oh girl, it's been a while we demand. We demand. Yes.
I demand responsive leadership. Yeah. Last episode I mentioned how I think it's necessary for us, before we even move on, that there should be punishment of offenders for the last election. I feel like after the inauguration, as the leaders are settling in, the first thing on their bucket list should be holding offenders accountable. Who are the past? I don't know if I should bring this up, but the CBN governor was just fired. I think that's an example of punishing offenders. Because it's just one example. There are so many things that needs to be done, but I think the leaders need to put an ear to the ground, listen to what people are saying. If it's young people, if it's just people of all generations, listen to the problems that they are saying they have. Listen to what they are suggesting can make the country better, and then implement it.
Yeah, there are also opportunities to get young people and women in. There will be appointments at the national level. There will be appointments at the state level.
Yeah.
Is that not because I believe that appointments, because we know, later I'll talk about the data around women representation. You know that women, after the elections, the number of women won elections, poor, national, that's both at the federal and state level.
Yeah.
But appointment is an opportunity to get women on board.
Yeah.
Because it's not democracy if there's no representation. And I do believe that one of the things I'm expecting from the government at the national and state level is that we have women appointed. We have young people. Young people should be appointed into offices. Commissioner, that at the state level, be it the Federal Executive Council. Opportunities for appointments. I believe that young people need to get involved also, because you said something important. If we carry young people along, if they are part of the decision-making processes, it also creates a sense of a sense of togetherness. One, the other thing also shows that we all have something to hold on to. Yeah. But what else? Education. You talked about ASU strike.
Yeah.
That was long for almost a year. What do we want to see education-wise?
What do we even think of the loan?
Oh yeah, one time it was trending around student loan one time. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea, because it's going to help a lot of people who have, in fact, lost hope on going to school. This student loan will help them to okay, I can actually go to school, although it's just for tuition, and there are other conditions that are to be met before you can access the loan. But it's still, they're not like something that is not visible. They are visible. Those conditions are visible, and I feel it will also help people in the grassroots level to,
the lower income earners
to have opportunity.
She doesn't agree.
Why?
No, I agree. But I just had questions.
Okay, questions, yeah.
For the student loan stuff. So I don't know the details, but then I saw something about how you have to repay 2 years after graduation.
That's the issue.
It's an issue because how many people? So is it coming hand in hand with steady employment for any graduates?
Important point, actually.
Because how are you going to repay whatever amount is spent on you during the 4 years?
Because if you say 2 years, you do 1 year NYC. How much they pay you for NYC? I don't know if it's there's no guarantee that after NYC you get your
So what I saw, I think they said 10% if you get employment immediately, 10% will be automatically withdrawn within that period. But how sure are you that you will get employment with the way Nigeria is? Is the employment rate?
We have to talk about the student loan in details another episode, because this is I feel a lot of young people would benefit. It's an important conversation, especially for young people, because we have a very huge youth population who are still accessing education. They are still either just about to get into tertiary education or are already in tertiary education. But if you talk about education, we had a long period of strike. What do we expect from the government this time around when it comes to what else can we get right in education?
I think they can start with settling whatever issues they have with the ASU. That one. Then for federal universities, rebuild, revamp, refurbish. Is it just federal?
Those in states, those in polytechnic,
yes, federal and states,
and state institutions. Yeah.
Do whatever needs to be done just for the quality of education to be standard. Then let these children go back to school uninterrupted. Let them finish school. I think we need to place more emphasis on our education, because this is also one of the leading causes of japa. People don't believe that they are getting the right education here. Somebody can finish the 4 years of education, and if it's a science student, they probably never went into any science lab. Or have any state-of-the-art equipment to even practice anything. So by the time they are done with school, you're seeing graduates who are not. They usually say unemployable. But how are they going to be unemployable when the standard of education was subpar? So now they have to do everything within their means to japa, just so that they can get higher education, better.
That hits me hard.
Higher education.
When you said they do, because actually young people go through a lot. Because a lot of them that japa, a lot of young people are doing anything within their, anything possible to just get out. And I don't think our system should be such a system that pushes people to the wall to do whatever it is to get out.
Yeah.
But what else are we expecting from the government beyond education? What else? Because security is top on my list.
Electricity.
Let's talk electricity, because with
Electricity.
the removal of subsidy, I went to buy fuel for my generator. My God. My God, I just gone. I had a guest, and I told the person that, sorry, normally when there's no light in the afternoon, I turn on my gen.
I have a friend.
After I bought fuel,
I have a friend that always calls me and be like, anytime he wants to call, be like, how far? When I get light, like it's like a norms, as if it's like a slang or hello for him. When I get light, instead of saying hello, when I get light. I don't understand.
Yeah, but I also think electricity impacts on even businesses.
Yes.
So the other time I was in Ghana, and I was just talking about how there are lots of Nigerians who have businesses and they are doing well there. And I'm like, lots of Nigerians in Ghana. I say, in fact, like some Nigerians even own properties, businesses. Even in Sierra Leone, they were talking about that. But I think one thing I loved in Ghana was the power supply. And I was like, they have better, yes, and we do. So when you talked about it, I thought
it's uninterrupted.
It's well, for the best of my knowledge, it was uninterrupted. But I know at one point they talked about some of the issues they've been having with power at a point. But it's better than ours.
Yeah.
Someone told me, I have a friend, he's in Canada. I said, even if it's just the lack of noise from Jen, he's okay with that. Wow. So electricity, So you're looking out for better investment in electricity to give us better power supply.
Yeah. Yes.
Electricity, actually, I think it's one of the sectors that have ripple effects on the rest of the standard of living in Nigeria. Because if someone doesn't have steady power supply, it means they are running diesel for their fuel, for their generators, their lister and all that. Now, if it's a business, if the things are supposed to cost, say, 1 naira, they are going to put into consideration how much they are spending on diesel.
Yes.
Now it will become 2 or 3 naira.
With removal of fuel subsidy,
it's not about 5, 10
naira. What is fine?
Even hairdressers charge more.
Yeah, I'm telling you, even the things that you don't expect are now much higher.
Now so expensive
because of the hike.
Even those that the thing this first subsidy is not affecting, they are also charging high.
Yeah.
Because it's somehow, if you used to use let's say you said hairdresser. How can I go to make my hair unless I was paying 5k before? But now you go, they say, please, you're going to pay 15k because we are running gen and I bought fuel expensive. So they don't want us to be beautiful again, basically.
My own hairdresser said her own issue is that her transportation has now tripled.
True, transportation tripled.
So that is going to affect how much she's charging me.
Wow. It's actually affecting every tiniest thing.
And do you know the craziest thing?
What?
Income is still the same.
Income is still the same, my sister. Because I was saying all this is increasing. I told somebody if they increase on my body, because it doesn't mean my salary has increased. Income has remained.
Salary is still the same. Everything is going. How do they want us to survive?
There was one funny meme I saw on social media. Yeah. Someone was like, "I save money for rainy days, but the next day it rains."
Like next day. It's not that the rain
like
starts.
It's just start raining. It's not funny, really.
Yeah, so I do believe power, honestly, the next government, if they can even say that all they achieved is power, electricity, I think a lot of Nigerians will celebrate, because what you just said now is the reason we're feeling a lot of bites with the fuel subsidies, because a lot of cost is increasing. Because if we were, let's say, if we had uninterrupted power supply, it makes the young people with their young businesses who still at least have something going for them. Even though it will cost you to transport yourself, but it doesn't cost you more to run your business. But now a lot of young people are feeling it. A lot of women, because we have more women in the informal sector who have a lot of young entrepreneurs that are women. And traders, it also affects them, traders in the market, because you're spending more to come to the market. But now you also need to power your shop and all of those things, or power your house. It's also even our social life, because where we used to hang out, drinks have increased. What now? You now go to eat and the food has increased.
Yeah, even transportation, boats these days.
But where boats is the worst.
Before.
It's not limiting our socialization, because when you calculate how much,
anywhere. Boat is the worst. If you want to go out, you calculate yourself.
When you calculate how much it will cost you to go out, you will sit back at home. So, and I believe education is also important, but I think we should talk a bit about security. Because, see, I was in Sierra Leone and someone was, one of my friends was telling me that someone asked him to go out. He's Nigerian, so he went there. Someone asked him, let them hang out. We're like, oh, it's past midnight. The person now said, don't worry, it's not Nigeria. Nobody will kidnap you. Below the belt.
Oh my god.
No, so, but serious. No, but
we need.
If you don't go out past midnight, is it because you think someone will kidnap you?
For me, I mean, it's part
Nigeria,
of it.
In Nigeria, we don't feel like that. I think.
Why would you not go out after midnight?
Because of I just love sleeping. I just like
Sorry.
I don't like.
Mine would be because ghosts.
This girl.
I'm scared of ghosts.
Who did you kill? Did you kill somebody?
No. I'm scared of ghosts much more than I'm scared of being mobbed or.
Are you serious?
I swear.
But I think the point for me from there was also the fact that a lot of people view Nigeria as an insecure country. Because when people follow the news they see is bandits attacked, kidnapping. Even now you have let me even talk about our producer, because armed robbers attacked when they were leaving. DJ Drexx, he will tell you the story. Because yes, and it's a location in Abuja, and these robbers took a lot of things, but no security came in to save them at the period. And I think if at all our government at all levels, not just about the president, even at the state level, we need our government to actually begin to think about reviewing our security architecture, invest better in security. We have budgets going every year up for security, but we are not seeing results. So I think for me, this government, one thing they should look at for power, electricity, education, security. But we'll continue this talk next time, because we have a lot to talk about setting the agenda for our government. But please, appointment, I need to see more women. Ladies, we have to pause the conversation here, because if we start talking about what we need from government, we'll not end now. But we already said it, major things so that they need. And I think it's for our audience too. What do you guys think? What do we want to see from our government? Because at the end of it all, we want our government to work. So what do you guys want to see from the government? Not just in Nigeria, but within Africa. But we have to end now. Shout out to our amazing crew. Yes, so beautiful family picture, guys. So DJ Drexx, our producer, shout out to him.
Shout out to Hamilton, our director and social media strategist. Shout out to Ayomide, also our social media content creator.
And then we have Fredcoker, our cinematographer, and also David, who is also our floor manager / assistant cinematographer.
Yeah, and I remember Samuel Folorusho and Steven Momoh, who also help us in our designs. And ladies, who keep having this conversation in our very comfy couch. And we invite our audience, you know what to do. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, follow us on all our social media pages, and keep a date with us. Every Wednesday we'll bring the conversation going. Hot gist, open, diverse conversation. I know how we say it, ladies. When we're on, we are amplified.
And in the meantime, I'll go finish from scratch and cry more.
Oh, please. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers. See you next week.